thoughts in your mind that you aren't good enough, that you'll never be successful? If so, you're not alone. I've had those thoughts playing in my mind ever since I took the leap to become an entrepreneur. It's a dirty, dark secret that no one likes to talk about, as the glamorization of becoming an entrepreneur is shown in the media. I realized that in order to succeed, I needed help. We all do. So I decided to go all in on myself, spending thousands of hours in the trenches, reading, joining groups, listening to podcasts, hiring coaches to develop a bulletproof morning routine for success. Join me on my journey as together we build our morning fire to ignite our lives as entrepreneurs. My name is Jeff Wickersham, and this is the Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs podcast. Welcome to the Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs podcast and show. I'm excited to have my special guest today. Suzanne, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Jeff. I'm super excited to be here.
Awesome. So am I. So let's get that excitement amped up a little bit more. So we're going to do 3 power breaths, breathing in through the belly, up through the chest. We'll raise our hands up, and then we'll get a power boom, get some energy going, and then get into branding. So let's go ahead and breathe in and out. Good. Another breath in and out. Final breath in and out. All right. Now I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. Yell boom at the top of our lungs. Get the energy level up in 3, 2, 1, and boom.
Boom!
There you go. Love it. Love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for playing along. And I always say nothing great can be done without energy, excitement, and enthusiasm. So morning routines, habits, and rituals. I eat, sleep, and breathe them. That's what I coach my clients on. So I'm always interested in hearing entrepreneurs, coaches, mentors that come on my show. What are your go-to 1 or 2 things, Suzanne, that you do on a daily basis that really set you down that path towards success?
Wow. So this is sort of new for me to capture this routine that I'm going to tell you about.
Okay.
I committed to 365 days of meditation the first of the year. So I'm on like 238. I think today is either 237 or 238. But actually my morning routine starts at night, the night before. And what I end up doing is I plug into binaural beats. And these are amazing frequencies that you can choose several different frequencies that are out there and available on YouTube, or I use an app called Insight Timer. And I listen to these binaural beats that help me release those negative thoughts and negative energies. Some beats, frequencies will allow you to get super creative and really open up some creativity to connect with your spirituality. I mean, there's so many different levels of these frequencies that I think help me sleep better, sleep deeper, and really get the rest I need to wake up and jump out of bed, right? And get excited. So that it starts there. And then in the morning when I wake up, I get woken up by 2 Maine Coon cats purring in my face and stepping on my chest. And so there's a little bit of love and gratitude that I wake up to, and just, petting them and greeting them in the morning. And then I turn on, before I get out of bed, I turn on my Insight Timer and I listen to the daily meditation, which is just 5 minutes.
Okay.
I allow myself to reconnect. Sometimes it's a guided meditation. Sometimes it's just a piece of music that really just, fills you up and gets you super excited. But I trust that every day is something I need to hear, and it's just 5 minutes so I can, prepare for my day. And then I get out of bed and I always do either Pilates for 30 minutes, really tough Pilates. It's really reshaped my whole feeling of strength and energy, so much more so than yoga had ever done for me. So I moved into this Pilates. I mean, your body just likes one thing or another, right? So you respond to that. And then on the days I don't do Pilates, I'm always out walking. We've got a trail up behind our house, and I get into nature, and I'm always greeted by deer or some unusual wildlife. I'm in Colorado, so there's something always out that's greeting me, and taking pictures of the moon coming up. The full moon like this morning was beautiful, and I just get so energized, and I really think about what's going to happen in my day, what my intentions are, and get started. It's awesome.
That's awesome. I love it, and kudos to you for taking that meditation challenge and
2/3 of the way almost through. I will tell you, meditation has changed my life. I'm almost up to 4 straight years of it every single day. I use Insight Timer as well, so we're cut from the same cloth. But let's get into those binaural beats a little bit, because not many people know about it. I actually use them for a power nap typically in the afternoon, because I'm an early riser, 4:30, and a 20-minute power nap to some theta beats really re-energizes you. So what was the trigger, I guess, to get into binaural beats? Where'd you hear it? And what has really your experience been as you've been kind of in that discovery mode?
I discovered those binaural beats from a gentleman named Glenn Harold. He is a hypnotherapist. I think he's out of Canada, UK, Canada. And I got hooked on his meditations, his guided meditations. He's got a wonderful voice. This was years ago. So I really started understanding the power of that binaural frequency. And what it does is it helps to entrain the brain and relax the brain and entrain it into its natural state, where you can get super creative and just open up all this space, especially if you're overwhelmed. And I'm a type A person. I get overwhelmed easy now. As I'm getting older, I feel like I can't do as many things all at once like I thought I could before. And so I'm really taking that, being proactive and taking that opportunity to give my brain a rest and retrain it to its natural state, so that I can be refreshed and rejuvenated. But what I love about the binaural beats is that the megahertz are so different at different levels, and you can really pick and choose at what state you're in and what you want to get to by using these different pieces of sound, right?
Yes, absolutely. And relax the brain. And I think we can all benefit from doing that wherever you're at in your life, in your professional, business, entrepreneurial career, is taking time to refresh. And I'll tell you, I've been really focusing myself on sleep. And like today, I didn't wake up in the middle of the night, got a full night's sleep, and I jumped out of I was ready to go, where other days where you might have a restless night's sleep, you're not as refreshed. And that's the peak time to have the body, and most importantly, the mind, restore itself. So I'm going to have to, I didn't know there was binaural beats out on Insight Timer. So I'm going to have to explore them and check them out. So thank you for,
you can do a search, just do a search for them.
Yep. Awesome. I will definitely check them out. So Suzanne, tell us a little bit about your background from, a branding perspective. We're going to obviously talking about branding today, and branding is so important to a business, or if you're just starting out as a solopreneur, getting your message out there and really creating that brand that resonates with your target audience. So if you could share a little bit about your background, I'd love to hear it.
Right. Yeah. So I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. I grew out of college into my field of interest was marketing, communications, graphic design, and I got into training and workshop facilitation and those types of things, helping companies really find those vehicles, those avenues of their messaging to get out there, right? And for years, I was in that environment. I was president of Pikes Peak Advertising Federation when it was called that in 2006-07, and really immersed myself in that communications and advertising environment. And then I left corporate America, and I was a creative project manager, left corporate America, started my own company as a design boutique called ID by Design. And my specialty was designing corporate identity design and logo design. And within 3 years, I grew the business about 30% every year. And I realized I had this big, what I call a BFO, a blinding flash of the obvious. And that looks like my clients realizing that the logo designs they're stepping into, or they're going to agree to, that takes them to that next visual level of professionalism or being more contemporary or innovative, whatever that look and feel was, is something that they were hesitant to take on, because they realized that this looks so good or so much better than I actually feel we are as a business. How can I live up to this?
Okay.
Right? And it shocked me. I mean, I'm like, wow, I am actually doing you a disservice by up-leveling your look and feel when you have not yet fully identified, defined, and aligned to a value position where you feel confident enough to step into that and really deliver on that promise. So that just shook my world. It rocked my world. I realized that, I'm not going to design for my clients anymore, but what I am going to do is I'm going to help you figure it out.
Okay.
I'm going to help you figure out your brand's DNA. And that was my first book, Brand DNA, we published in 2010. And so we just designed, I designed actually a process that helps companies flush out those attributes that make them who they are. So it's not becoming something you're not. It's about really naming and defining who you are as a business and what your style attributes are, what your core values are, what makes you different in your standards of performance, et cetera, and what your actual brand promise is. So now they felt confident enough to step into not only an updated look and feel, but the messaging and narrative shifted, right, in your marketing message. So I know you want to talk about the difference between marketing and branding. We can get there, but that's kind of what happened. That's what shifted me out of the external marketing and design to the internal development, identifying and defining of the brand's value position.
Okay. And it's interesting where you were creating these tremendous logos, and I have to believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, it was kind of internal belief, right? They didn't believe they were at that level yet. And belief is such a powerful either, accelerator, or it can be the brake that just stops you in your tracks because you have that internal belief system, those internal thoughts that are not going to allow you to step into that tremendous logo that you were creating. So that's an interesting, wow. It's very eye-opening that as you were talking through that, to hear, hey, here's a tremendous logo, but I'm reluctant to do it because I don't believe we're there yet. Or
hesitant, or am I over promising, and can I deliver on this new look and feel? And the problem is that most companies I have approached and still approach believe that a logo design is what's going to shift their business and make it successful, and it's not. In fact, the logo is not even the brand. The brand is actually the perception the people have after they've experienced the company, and then they associate the graphic symbol with that experience. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does make sense.
So the question becomes, if your logo isn't your brand, but it's meant to portray an icon that represents your brand, what is it representing? And most companies haven't taken the time to do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's it's just very very interesting that you brought up that piece. And let's kind of pivot a little bit. And I know you have stopped marketing, at least for now, and start branding. So let's dive into what you define that and what you mean by that whole line.
Yeah, so that line kind of propelled me into the brand state, and understanding what it truly was and really offering the service of brand. So when you think about branding and marketing, they're two separate functions, completely separate functions. You're marketing a brand. Okay. So if you're out there marketing something, which is the dissemination of information about the brand, you're out there communicating it in all the different channels that you might want to communicate it, and you have not yet identified and defined the brand, then my question to my prospects and clients are, what are you marketing?
Right.
And so that's like a mic drop, right? It's like oh my gosh, I don't even know. And what happens, Jeff, in that space of not having defined your brand, and you're continuously out there marketing something, what you end up doing by default is chasing the client, chasing your markets.
Right.
Because you have not yet defined the value position to become a pole, right? To become a magnet or an attractor, right? But when you understand who you are as a brand, your marketing narrative and communication completely shifts. You're
Right.
not chasing them anymore. You're attracting them based on what you know to be true about what you offer.
Right. And you're standing up for your values and your beliefs, and people know that, and then you're attracting the right client, right?
Yes.
Because you only want people that resonate with the values, beliefs, those pieces that you
Mhm.
bring to the table, and then can resonate with your potential clients.
Yes. When you're super confident and you stand in that power of clarity of what your brand's value position is, then you put it out there. Remember, you're not the only one that feels powerful in that space. Other people want that sense of value. They want that sense of power. We're fundamentally, humans are basically all the same. We want the same things,
Right.
But when you identify and define what you can bring to the table, that creates the distinction around how you go about what you deliver. And for personal brands, the professionals, the solo professionals, they are really the brand of their business. It's not their product or service. It is
Right.
not. And the way they distinguish themselves and their brand is by their own personality traits and how they go about delivering what they deliver.
So if someone is a solopreneur, and you say it's them as the brand, how do they go about, what are a couple steps that they can do right away today, listening to this podcast, that they can implement and start to define their brand and step into that brand from a marketing perspective?
Yeah, well, we haven't talked about the book, but that was the book, the Personal Brand Clarity book is the whole process
Okay.
designed and written for the solo professional. This is the book, and it's on Amazon.
Nice.
It's a workbook. I mean, there are tons of activities in here that take you through the brand's DNA process, but they are the brand, right? And so core values is the easiest one to start with. And if
Okay.
most people say they have a set of core values, but when I ask them, have they written them down and have they defined them? Most will say no. And so if I ask you today what your core values are, and you're in a certain situation in your life at a certain time of life, you have a set of core values. But if I asked you next month what your core values are, and you haven't written them down or done the due diligence, done the deep dive work to define them and know what they are, then you're going to tell me a set of different core values.
Yes.
And that's the problem. Herein lies the problem. We are beings on earth that are so externally impacted by our environments. We've allowed that to happen. So many of us are just impacted by what's going on outside of ourselves, that
Right.
we are no longer internally driven, right? We are like robots operating based on what's happening outside of us to dictate or being reactive, right, to what's going on, instead of sitting in the driver's seat and really getting proactive and driving our lives through our set of core values, right? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing for the personal brand, because when I can get them to shift and drive their own bus, so to speak, of life, they are in control and they are co-creators, and they can manifest things based on what they fill their brain with in terms of their own attributes and what their skill sets are, what makes them different, and get that confidence level up, and they shifts their vibration and everything changes.
Yeah, I love it. And I think going through that process of defining your core values, writing them down, then that's your anchor, right? That you can
Yeah.
always go back to. And regardless of those external forces that are out there, and we're bombarded by so many bits and pieces of information, whether it's social, text, email, whatever it is, you can still always come back to that. And I would think, hey, having those somewhere visible every day so you know where you're coming from, and
You
and
have
then,
to ingrain them. Yeah.
yep, there you go. Then you're always going to be able to pattern your marketing around those, because they're your anchor.
Yeah, and it's becomes entrainment, right? It
Mhm.
becomes you step into the potential of those core values and really living them every single day instead of being so reactive. You can discern differently to all the choices we have every single day. We discern so that we stay in alignment with who we're saying we are. So the other pieces are just, I know we don't have a ton of time, but this is like an output.
Okay.
Of this is my one sheet in terms of my personal brand's DNA. So the core values are just one of these sections, right? And we're going to go through all these pieces from in the book to flush that out and really create the profile of you. Identify, define, align, right? That you can be more cognitive, more conscious, strategic, and deliberate in everything that you decide to do every day.
And I love how you brought up we're so reactive. And that's so in line with what I coach clients on, right? The nighttime morning routines. You are bookending your days, but you're taking control the moment the alarm clock goes off rather than being reactive.
Exactly.
And letting the day dictate what you're going to do. And I always tell people that's why you end up exhausted, stressed, flop on the couch and say, how am I going to do this tomorrow? Because you let all those forces dictate where your day went rather than saying, nope, I have a choice. This is where I'm going. This is what my day is going to look like. And it's an amazingly powerful way to live. And so I'm right in line with Suzanne, where you're talking about from a branding perspective, those core values and being proactive. And you so have a choice in so many areas of your life, right? And we give up that choice too easily. So definitely in line with you there. So I've loved the discussion. Where can they find the book? I know you want to give away something free to the audience that they could grab. And then where can people connect with you out on social or your website?
Oh, awesome. I'm everywhere social, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I don't play a lot on Twitter, but my website is brandascension.com. My book you can get on Amazon. You can get it through my website, but it'll take you right to Amazon. Personal Brand Clarity is the name of that. I have an online course for those of you that like a little bit more interaction, downloadable workbook, and a little bit more coaching, which would be me, but it's recorded, right? And it's called personalbrandpresence.com. That's the Personal Brand Clarity online course. And then the freebie that I want everyone to go to is the website on brandascension.com. There is a Kickstarter toolkit tab. And that's a freebie designed for the solo professional to just get started and really start getting more conscious about who you are as a brand and get kind of a feel for taking an assessment. There's all kinds of fun things in there. There's like 6 or 7 resources in there. Even creating your elevator pitch there's a quick workshop on there, video workshop. So sign up for that and get a taste of what that looks like. And then you can see what this is really all about.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Doing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Have an amazing rest of your day. Rise, fight, love, repeat. Get after it. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Morning Fire for Entrepreneurs podcast. You now have the knowledge, but without action, knowledge is useless. Choose to act. Choose to step into your greatness and unlock that hero inside of you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review so more entrepreneurs can hear this message. If you absolutely love this podcast, which I hope you do, then share it up with someone you know who might see benefit from it. Become that beacon of change, and together we can impact the world.